So this is the program that we discussed in the previous class, and as you remember, we had first uh, variable defined here, and we named this variable as input, and then we use this getChar function that is from the standard IO library, standard IO library, and this getChar is a function that returns the character that one character that we typed on our keyboard. So once we get this character, that is the right hand side of this assignment operator. This right here is the assignment operator. This is the assignment operator. So once we get this character, whatever we have typed, this character that we type from the keyboard is now the right hand side is now copied over to the left hand side of the assignment. So you see that the right hand side is the character that was typed from the keyboard is now assigned to the left hand side of the left hand side, and in our case the left hand side is the input variable. So that's how we uh, read and store the first character. Once we have read and stored the first character, then we use this while loop to read all the subsequent characters. Now remember, when we talked about this particular program, we said that in this case the user can go on giving input. There is no limit. It can give 10, 15, 100,000 inputs. And the user, when the user chooses not to type any uh, character anymore, then the user can type a special control sequence. This is the control key followed, and at the simultaneously press control key and this D for Delhi key, which will generate a special um, character called end of file. And once that character is generated, then this this while loop will no longer work. So in this tutorial, we want to better understand how this while loop works. So the first two lines I think are okay. The definition of this variable named input and the mechanism to read one character using this getChar function from stdio.h. These two lines can easily be represented as a box here. This integer input, and input is assigned the value of getChar. So these two lines are covered now. Now in this while loop, a key thing in this while loop is this condition right here. Okay, the condition, and most of the times we represent this condition by a rhombus like structure like this. So what is the condition here? The condition, this is the condition, and this condition is input is not equal to UF, and you just have to remember that UF is nothing but control key, and at the same time you press this D key. Okay, so what is the condition? The condition is that as long as the input is valid, A, B, X, Y, 1, 2, whatever, but it is not control D, then this condition is true. So as long as the input is valid, input meaning the character that we typed is valid from the keyboard, uh, the condition is true. So from previous tutorials, we understand that condition in C can have only two options, can have only two outcomes. Either it's true or it's false. So assume that the input is a valid, the input that was typed by the user, it was a valid input. In this case, the true bunch will be selected, and after that it will execute the code block inside this while loop. So here, right here, this is the code block. Code block. This is the code block. This is the code block right here. This is the code block. Code block. Code block means something that is between these two, this curly braces. Okay, that's what we mean by code block right here. Okay, or so this parent, this curly and that curly. So whatever is inside this is what we call as code block. After the execution of this code block, as we said, since this is a loop, it will go to this parenthesis, and from this parenthesis it will go back again to the beginning of this while loop. And in picture, how can we represent it? After this code block is executed, we draw an arrow which goes back to the beginning of the for loop. And as you can see, the execution happened this way. First, it checked the condition, and if the condition is true, so it checks the condition, and once the condition is true, then it executes whatever is in the code block, and then after that it goes back again. So this right here is the loop, is a cycle, is it not? Therefore, this of course structure is called a loop statement. Now this will go on for as long as the condition is true. Then what is the condition? The condition is that the input is not control D. Input is not end of file. So this will go on and on as long as the user continues to type valid characters from the keyboard. There's no problem. At some point, the user decides that okay, we are going to type control D. I don't want to input any new symbols anymore. So the user goes and types control D, and the moment it types control D, the input is now equal to AF. This means the condition has become false. The moment the condition becomes false, the while loop terminates and jumps out. Okay, jumps out from this loop, because this loop only works as long as the condition is true. But the moment the condition is false, it takes the other false branch and jumps out. So where does it jump and go? It goes to the statement just after the while loop. So look here, this is the while loop, this is the code block, and this is the curly brace here. So this portion right here is the while loop. After that, what is the next statement just after the while loop? Here it's a return 0. Of course, it could have been something else in a different program. In this particular example, it's a return 0. So anyways, when the while loop is terminated, then it jumps to the next statement. So how will we represent this in a picture? We can say after when the condition becomes false, it jumps out from this while loop, this loop that marked in red here, and goes to the statement next just after the while loop. Okay, so this is how while loop can be used in this particular example to read multiple characters.